Good morning, everyone. It's December 13th, 2019. I'm Eric. How's everyone doing this morning? I hope you're all well. Now, when Donald Trump, back in, 2015, 2016, when he announced that he would be running for president, I came out and said that he would be more or less the same as most other politicians. But people like Alex Jones, Mike Adams, Dave Hodges, and the list can go on and on. They jumped on this reverse psychology psyop bandwagon. And, they did the very thing they criticized mainstream media and leftists for doing, and that is they became politically biased. I had a great deal of respect for Alex Jones because, he said a lot of things that needed to be said, but he ended up, he ended up falling for the rhetoric of a psychopath. So here we are, 2019, and it turns out my instincts regarding Donald Trump was 100% correct. I didn't want it to be true. The fact is, before he ran for president, I thought he was pretty amusing. Matter of fact, I still think he is pretty amusing when he's talking shit about mainstream media and some of these other individuals. But after he ran for president, I could not support him anymore, simply because I saw through him. And I'm exceedingly good at seeing through people, especially when they're not personally connected to me. The personal connection adds a little blindness, I guess you could say. But recently, he signed an executive order declaring Jew a nationality, a race, and not a religion. So, it appears to me that he is attempting to make Israel great, which will never be great. Tyrants cannot be great. So, there's an executive order more or less criminalizing the boycott movement against Israel for their genocide there in Palestine. Now, when he was running, he said that he would bring manufacturing jobs and higher wage jobs back to America. Here we are again in 2019, and what we ended up getting from him was a NAFTA 2.0. Now, when I was living in Michigan, Flint, Michigan, I was there when the NAFTA agreement got signed. And I do not exaggerate when I tell you what Ross Perot said would happen. You would hear a big sucking sound, and the jobs would be gone. Happened exactly like Ross Perot said it would. Literally the next day, plants all over Michigan, laid thousands of people off, and started the process of moving their operations to either Mexico or China, among other places, but those were the two main ones. All those jobs were lost. Now, in 2019, another horrible agreement, which he will say is a great deal, but it's not. You know who it's a great deal for? Mexico. Mexico and Canada. That's who got to benefit from this particular agreement. Now, you remember back, many years ago now, early 2000s, the idea of a type of setup similar to the European Union here, the North American Union. And what they just did was level the playing field for Mexico and Canada to a lesser degree to make things equal. So the Mexican people, they ended up getting a minimum wage tied to these manufacturing jobs of $16 an hour. Yeah, really. And, a lot of Americans don't even make $16 an hour. I can't remember the last time I had a job that paid more than $13 an hour. And don't get me wrong, $13 an hour isn't too bad. But it could be better, especially if you're the individual in the organization that you're working for who has the most output. So he signed this deal that was really bad for the American worker. Stabbed you in the back. The tax break stabbed you in the back. I have to ask you, Trump supporters, what will it take for you to understand, or any other political candidate supporter for that matter, what will it take for you to understand that these people, they do not have your best interest in mind? They have their own best interest in mind. They always have, and they always will. And they will throw you under the bus to get whatever it is they're after. Another thing is Trump is tied to many, many fucking pedophiles. Nader, the name Nader comes to mind. And of course, he ran on a platform of bringing home American troops from the Middle East, specifically Syria. And, well, that didn't happen either. But I keep hearing people on places like Fox News saying how he kept his campaign promises. And he may have kept a couple of them, but overall, he didn't. And he didn't keep the ones that were the most important. So, what's it going to take for you to understand that these impeachment hearings were meant to benefit Donald Trump, not hurt him? So, I have a couple of articles pulled up here. As if we don't spend enough money on military spending already. And don't get me wrong, okay? I completely understand the need for us to be out in space. Problem is, they put the word force behind it. Okay? Which implies exactly that, force. Instead of uniting around the idea of exploring the cosmos, they turn it into a potential battleground. But this latest bill, Trump's Space Force, officially launched in a $738 billion defense bill, the NDAA. Now that's getting pretty fucking close to $1 trillion. $1 trillion. And we're already in such debt that there's no possibility of it to be repaid. Ever. But I'm going to hit this first paragraph or two right quick, and then I'm going to move on to the next thing. The final 2020 National Defense Authorization Act passed the House on Wednesday, 377 to 48, at a massive and unprecedented $738 billion in a nearly united Republican vote, which also included over 180 House Democrats. It marks a $22 billion spending increase for the Pentagon. Now, you would think that if these people really hated each other, they would be blocking these kinds of bills, right? But instead, they nearly completely cooperated. And that's why I keep on telling you, these people cannot get anything done without each other. Republicans can't get shit done without the Democrats, and the Democrats can't get shit done without the Republicans. So both of the parties' hands are in the proverbial cookie jar. And it is expected to be signed by President Trump likely next week after it goes through the Senate. After it was stripped of all significant items the administration would find objectionable, including a controversial War Powers Act resolution meant to end U.S. involvement in Yemen, in which would have required congressional approval for military action against Iran. Of course, this is not going to happen. There will be no congressional approval. It will be a war launched via fiat, just like our currency. So, can any of you tell me how this dude is any different than his predecessors? Please. Can you please tell me what actual good he has done for our country and you? Please, please, by all means, tell me. Now, this is from Blacklisted News. How Trump's new anti-Semitism order effectively criminalizes dissent. You know, and that's what all around they're doing. They are criminalizing dissent. They're criminalizing vaccine dissent. They're criminalizing dissent against law enforcement. They're criminalizing everything. Why is that? So, Trump is expected to sign an executive order, and this was put out on December 11th, 2 days ago. Today, which would have been then, December 11th, purporting to target anti-Semitism on college campuses. However, the measure is understood on all sides as an attempt to outlaw the boycott, divestment, and sanctions movement and criticism of Israel more generally. I mean, why not, right? Why not? the backstabbing from this dude continues. And the more he backstabs, the more poll numbers he gets, the more people flop sides. What the fuck is wrong with all of you? Just saying. So, there's a pretty lengthy list of how Donald Trump has, and I'm not one of these people who hate the dude. I don't hate anybody. I am not filled with hate. But there are people out there who will say, you're just a never-Trumper, or you're a libtard. I'm not either, none of these things. I don't subscribe to political ideologies, because they're all, at the end of the day, the same. Highly authoritarian. I'm going to go ahead and move on to the latest police misconduct, whom your commander-in-chief staunchly supports and gives military gear to. Over here on the Free Thought Project, I'm going to go ahead and knock my ugly mug off here so we can see all of these here. Alright. 8-year-old girl stripped naked by officers telling her it's the only way she can see her dad. Yeah. 8-year-old girl. I mean, what kind of perversion is this? Why would they need to strip an 8-year-old girl naked? Cop had to be a pedophile. He had to get his rocks off on looking at 8-year-old little girls. And this is a sign of open rebellion happening and increasing here in the United States. Since feeding the homeless is illegal, activists carry AR-15s to give out food and supplies. Now, I don't think these AR-15s are going to do them a whole lot of good, because the people who would interfere with feeding the homeless are law enforcement, right? Police, sheriff's deputies, and so on, correct? How many of you think these people are going to be willing to put their guns up to, let alone fire on, law enforcement? Remember, if they do this, they will be smeared across the nation, across the world, as being terrorists and probably white supremacists. Right? Or no, I'm wrong. Tell me. 2 officers arrested for molesting children while working as pastures. Isn't that nice? Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that the kind of conduct that one should expect out of our finest? Multiple cops arrested in Kentucky for what? Running a steroid ring. You gotta watch out for those cops on steroids, man. You really do. You know, the big swollen dudes with fucking veins popping out everywhere, because they will fly off into a rage and beat you until you're just a pile of blood and gore. This is the kind of people we, as a society, entrust with our public safety. School cops gets 10 years in prison for violently raping 12-year-old girl and filming it. And this is your heroes, your saviors, your law enforcers, you know, the people you worship, raping 12-year-old girls. Isolated incident, ? Four cops in a department arrested in 6 months for beating, oh, and I've already covered this on my previous video. Let me move on. Beating women, even pregnant ones. Bert. Entire officer training class gladly takes photo giving Nazi salute. You Hitler! Right? And those motherfuckers were super authoritarian. Innocent people, and I covered this headline on my last video as well. Innocent people killed as cops use civilians as human shields in a shootout. I'm telling you, these people, these cops, all of them are cowards. They're cowardly, weak, spineless bastards. Cop gives no warning before shooting 15-year-old boy in the back, killing him. A 15-year-old boy. I know nothing. A week after the death of a UPS driver and police refusing to talk to the family. Of course they are. They have to do their, they have to investigate themselves, right? To make sure that everything's hidden that needs to be hidden so they can make their official finding. And I'm going to hit the time thing later on here. Cop shoots innocent unarmed woman, forces her to crawl to him as she bleeds out. No, NYPD cops brags about stealing hemp, legal hemp, to be used as medicine for cancer patients. Isn't that really, really compassionate? Cop breaks into innocent sleeping woman's home, shoots her. Now she faces life in prison. How does that work? Anyone tell me how a person in bed sleeping now faces life in prison after being shot in her own home by a cop? Snipers in New Jersey ambush multiple police officers. And we're going to cover this one as soon as I knocked these last few headlines out. Innocent dad politely asks police a question, so they beat and kidnap him. After predator cop gets wrist slapped for raping kids on duty, he's let out and strikes again. And he will continue to strike again and again and again because he has blue privilege. All right. Let me go back here. I'm back. Did you miss me? Probably not. My ugly ass mug here. Alright. If my computer will cooperate with me here. Bert. Snipers in New Jersey ambush multiple police officers. Several police officers have been shot, and two suspects have barricaded themselves into a bodega in Jersey City, New Jersey. People are being advised to avoid the area, and a dozen schools are on lockdown. One officer was shot at a cemetery and injured in the shoulder. A second officer was shot near Martin Luther King Drive and Bidwell Avenue, according to police transmissions reported by NJ.com. It is not clear exactly how many officers have been wounded. New Jersey State Police tweet. Today is a horrific day. Officers have come under attack, and we have several wounded. Just think about how the fucking families of the people you gunned down as police officers feel every time they lose one of their loved ones. Our hearts are heavy, and the violence is not over. And as long as these agencies exist, violence will never be over. Everything keeps getting worse and worse and worse. And we sit on our hands and allow it to do so. We sit on our hands and allow these people to strip our children, to molest them, to rape our wives, our daughters, kill our sons, and we do nothing. Nothing. We are not the home of the brave. We are the land of the weak, home of the slave. Till next time, kill the state, live free.